Speaking on these artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities, you have many topics that can be entertained with. A lot of the use cases are surface level, and these surface level use cases are not necessarily what is that you need. You have to drill down into a use case that you, as a person or a team or an organization, have the data, and that data means you have the capability that matches your intention. And given the opportunity, you will deploy that artificial intelligence system. Of course, you are most likely not going to talk about something that you are not a subject matter expert of. So you'll have to find somebody who is the subject matter expert of your organization, who might be more uh, accustomed to cyber hygiene. Like, let's say, for example, CMMI, ISO, or CMMC. So, before we talk about password and the password breaking, I figured this Black Mirror episode does a great job of making people realize how vulnerable passwords are. What's happening today, and this is something that you really have to think through on a personal level, is that your devices are far more important than, let's say, for example, just the data that's stored within your device. And that is the rabbit hole that subject matter like expert in your organization or within your team can spend their time on securing those devices, because social engineering and few other topics that you might not be familiar with, but somebody within your organization could be that one who says, I am very aware of the social engineering topics. It's just that I don't know much about AI. And this is why we have to sit down and get together and talk about it in a team alignment sort of conversation, a workshop, where if you're the AI subject matter expert, how do you challenge the cybersecurity guy to learn about AI? Or how do you challenge the end user to learn about AI so that way they can contribute in your total cybersecurity posture? So part of your cybersecurity hygiene, you will talk about some of the things like change your password so frequently, change it often. These are some great information. So the reason you change your password, the reason you make it lengthy, the reason you put variables of digits in there is to, help you to minimize the risk of you being exposed. The length is the great path forward. The length is the one that's great length forward. So if you have, say, 10, you're better off with 16 or 18. I think that's an important indication of why password and how you secure your data structure for AI purposes, something that you have to focus on today, immediately, or before you get started on your AI machine learning project. So just do a thought experiment here. Let's say, for example, you had Mary, Carrie, Jerry, 0, 1, 2, 3, 5 different special characters, right? Huge, long, lengthy password. But these passwords, because of somehow somebody was able to access your device and was able to look at the encryption of that password, now they're able to take that encryption, not the password itself, not the writing, not the letters, not the numbers, but the encryption that hides that password, take that encryption value and run it against a password database where, say, out of 1 billion people in the world, somebody somehow had the same password as you, right? Now, Mary, Carrie, Jerry, and 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 special characters is most likely not going to be one that's stored in that database. But let's say, for example, you did Mary, Carrie, and Jerry. So out of 1 billion users or 9 billion users of the internet, somebody out there had Mary, Carrie, Jerry as a password, and that password is stored in the database where all the passwords are located. Now, AI, without a human in the loop or without a human clicking, without a human typing on the keyboard, the AI is able to go back and forth between database and your database your password collection and look at the encryption that matches, right? So these specific digits that matches all of a sudden becomes, well, that's Mary, Carey, and Jerry in the password database. I'm going to use that and put that into the password and use that as my way to get into your structured data, your AI agent, your agentic AI, and many other resources that you have stored in your device. In order for you to do some research, think of it from this perspective that generative AI, where it was a few years ago, because it developed to a maturity, now we're talking about AI agents. But one of the things that you might not know about is agentic AI. And there's a difference between AI agents and agentic AI, which is the superior version of what generative AI is. What generative AI is very limited, what agentic AI is a little bit more, well, not a little bit more, it's exponentially more outreaching than generative AI will be, right? So think of it from that perspective, and I think it will add some value into your team's understanding of the cybersecurity threats with AI. You really have to think through how generative AI supports somebody who started yesterday versus this agentic AI who has access to it, that maybe is director level, and the director level individuals might be able to achieve more with agentic AI than AI agents themselves. Because AI agents, you can think of it from an operational perspective, strategic operational perspective. But who has access to any of these will require that you give them these high level understanding, so that way they're being safe and secured, and of course not doing things that not can only be legally challenged, but also keeping your information, your IPs, secured and safe within your network or your device.